Hi, this is Pim from Smart Diabetics Academy. In today's video, I will talk about how to stick to a diet and not cheat. Before getting started, I would like to ask you to give this video a thumbs up because it's going to be a great one with a lot of insights for you, I think. At least if you're having some kind of trouble sticking to your diet. And also, while you're there, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so that you will be notified in the next time I release a new video. So, whenever you want to change something or fix a problem that can be solved with diet, it's not just about diet. In fact, when it comes to sticking to a diet, your mindset is actually a lot more important. Yet, we often ignore this bit. And because it's uncomfortable to deal with it, and very, very few people actually know how to deal with it, because it's not something that we're being taught. Let me just briefly tell you a little bit about one of my biggest struggles in life, and that's sugar addiction. Some of you may know this, some people who are new don't really know this, but for as long as I can remember, I have had sugar cravings. I've had an urge to eat pretty much all day long. For some magic reason, I wasn't overweight as a kid, but growing up, I always had a little bit of extra padding compared to most people that I knew, especially since I was a fitness instructor. Guess what my peers look like? Most of them. Not everyone. There's always one that isn't super skinny, but in general, you kind of know the type. So I never looked like that. And I think that is the reason. So I knew for me that low carb or a keto diet was what worked absolutely best for me in terms of giving me energy, keeping me as lean as possible. It just worked, and why wouldn't I do it? I did. But the problem for me was, not the food portion. It was the sugar on top of the diet. So if I'm doing a keto diet, I can't really have sugar because then it's not going to be keto anymore. So it wasn't for me that I didn't have the knowledge. I had plenty of knowledge. I'm a nutritionist. Before studying to become a nutritionist, I took a course to become a diet advisor. So this is something I had with me for a very, very long time. And before that, I pretty much knew everything anyway because I was reading everything about it. It was just a passion of mine because I knew that it wasn't quite right. Something was wrong with me, that's what I thought anyway, because I couldn't stop eating the sugar, and I've always been kind of looking for that solution. And it took me a very long time to find it. Anyhow, so for a few years, I would actually have considered myself at the time fairly successful when I could stick to a keto diet, and I had keto treats pretty much every day, which means that I was able to stay low carb. So physiologically, my body looked good, I was strong, I had energy, etc. But what I didn't realize at the time was that because I never really enjoyed these treats, they didn't taste right, they didn't give me what I craved, which was real sugar, by the way. I was mentally depriving myself and of, giving myself what I wanted. And whenever I would go off the diet, I would end up binging in a way that I had never binged before. Because I never used to binge, I just used to eat a lot of sugar all the time. But when you restrict yourself and then you let go, often it ends up with a binge. And so I would just eat sweets like as if there was no tomorrow. Because I knew that as soon as I was back on the keto diet, I would have to eat those keto treats again that I didn't really enjoy. And this was me for many, many years, going on and off the keto diet, feeding my cravings by giving them treats, so giving myself treats, but not being actually satisfied because it wasn't actually what I craved. So if you are craving alcohol, you know that drinking orange juice is not going to help. It's not the same thing. And it's the same thing with keto treats and sugar. It's not the same thing. And I know that this is the case for so many other people out there, and I know for many of you, and you just have to go through these stages. Because for me, thinking back, I don't think I could have gone from eating a normal diet to not have any treats at all and just being super keto. I don't think I could have done that at the time. But I want to share a few tools with you in case you kind of want to get out of that trap, whether you've only been there for a few weeks or months, or perhaps you've been there for several years and you're really just sick of being on and off the keto diet, and just like I was. Like, I've had enough. I've spent so many years doing this, and the sugar devil is still sitting on my shoulder telling me that I want sugar. I'm just feeding the cravings over and over again and keeping that addiction going. So the first thing I want to share with you is that it's not just about the food, it's about your mindset. And I didn't know this, and I wish that I had known it a lot earlier. I think that could have changed a lot of things in my life. So when we focus on just the food and not our brains, we aren't really solving the issue. So this is why I was stuck in keto treat heaven for so many years, and this is why the majority of people are failing their diets, because they're only focusing on the food. We don't really pay attention to the mind so much. So when you go on a diet to, let's say, reverse your diabetes or to lose weight, or whatever reason you have for changing your diet, it requires you to become a different version of yourself. The version that you are right now got you the results that you have right now. So if you are overweight and diabetic, for example, but you want to be normal weight and free from diabetes, you need to become a person, or the person, who is thinking and behaving differently from how you think and behave right now, so that you can get different results. To get the results that you want, you require a certain amount of self-development is required. When you don't give yourself that privilege, you will not be a different person in the end of the day. You will be the same person as you are today, and you will go back to doing the same things that you've been doing up until now with the same results that you have today. You might succeed temporarily with the help of willpower, but long-term willpower is never ever going to work. That's why you need to change who you are. You need to evolve. Because if you look back 10 years, you're not the same person today as you were 10 years ago. So you have the capacity of changing who you are with how you're thinking about things and what you're doing. And when you do this in a way that changes your brain and your thinking, you will be able to make changes that stick with you and allows you to change your diet long term and have this being part of you and your lifestyle and just who you are. And what you need to do this is just persistence. And there are three major components of persistence that I want to talk about. And the first one is preparation. So before you start changing anything, it can be extremely helpful to prepare yourself for the process. So often we just decide to do something on a whim, and then we fail and we judge ourselves and we think that we are being failure and we're never going to be able to make any changes and so on. So the very first thing I would like you to do to prepare yourself is to really dig deep into your reason for why you are doing this. If you are, let's say, if you want to lose weight so that you look good in a bikini, chances are that you won't really stick with it for very long. But if you have a really good reason that you can connect with emotionally, you stand a much better chance of actually sticking with it and being motivated by it. And those people who are able to reverse the diabetes, for example, are generally those who have a very strong desire to do so. And rationally, I'm thinking, like, wouldn't everyone who has diabetes want to do that? But no, because it's easy to just maintain and it's easy to continue doing what you're already doing. So you have to get very, very clear on why you want this change in your life. When you are using food the way you're using food today, when that is no longer an acceptable practice, When you can connect your prior habits this way and thinking that the way I have been using food, that's not okay, because that is self-abuse. Why would I do that? It's not serving me, it's not helping me. When you can think about it that way, when you can emotionally connect with that as something that actually emotionally hurts you rather than something that, oh my god, cake, that is so nice, because that is a positive emotion. You want to connect it to something that is actually a little bit hurtful. That way you will be able to change your habits, and it will motivate you to keep moving forward. And all of a sudden failure is no longer an option for you, which is pretty cool. So the second component is practice. I don't know why we are doing this, but somehow me and pretty much everyone else that I've ever coached for some reason think that we should know how to do this without practicing. Just because it's a brain skill rather than a practical skill, we think that we should just magically know how to do this. So I need you to move away from thinking this way and start thinking of this as a skill that you need to learn. And when we're practicing anything, we learn by making mistakes, yeah? And for most of my clients, this is funny, mistakes are unacceptable. Whenever we fail, the universe is going on there and all the dark thoughts are coming out, right? But no one can learn anything without making mistakes. So one of the things we have to address first before we get the results is to accept that there will be mistakes, and that's okay. It's fine. You can make as many mistakes as you need to. There's no one who does this without making mistakes, because you can't learn something without making the mistakes. And we need to expect these mistakes to happen and then use them and learn from them. So that's the important thing. We can't just make the mistakes and then move on and sweep it under the carpet and forget about them. We need to actually learn from them and see what went wrong, how can I prevent this in the future, and that way we are learning, okay, this didn't work, what should I do next time? And that's fine. That's how you learn. So lastly, we have patience. Or we don't. Most people don't. Most people actually, including me, lack patience. We don't want to struggle, we want things served on a silver platter and preferably yesterday. We don't want it to take time, we want it now. Okay? But you need to be patient with yourself and willing to let it take the time it takes. Okay? So if you think about it this way, if this is the last time you're ever going to change your diet, why would you be in a hurry? You can take your time, you can get it right, because once it's done, it's done. You don't have to rush on to the next thing, because there is no next thing. This is the last time you're doing it. The only thing that is after this, after you learn the skill, is to maintain the diet. Yeah? And to maintain, you will need these long-term skills, and you will need the foundation to stand on. You will need to know how to do this, and to keep doing what you know is best for you, what you know actually works for you. And to do this, you need to be willing to love yourself and not judge yourself. Okay? I want you to take that in. Don't judge yourself for every little mistake that you are making. Every little mistake that you make is an opportunity for you to learn what does not work. And then it's up to you to use that knowledge and prevent yourself from making the same mistake again. When we're making the same mistake over and over again, it is because we are not willing to practice. So then you miss the second step. And be curious. When something doesn't go according to plan, try to figure out why. When you look at things with curiosity, you can often start figuring out a solution rather than finding reasons for why this won't ever work for you, or why you're the special snowflake that can't make this work, because you're not. I am. No, I'm just kidding. But everyone thinks that way, okay? It's like, oh, of course everyone else can do it, but I can't. That's not true. You're a human, I'm a human. All the humans have a brain, and all humans have the capacity of changing these things with the help of their brain. So once you can do that, and you can stay curious, you can stay compassionate, and you will keep moving forward. And that's what you want to do. So when you have thoughts like, oh, I knew I couldn't do it, or I can never stick with anything, and that's when you're in trouble. Those kind of thoughts are never going to help you create what you want. They're going to hold you back. They're going to prevent you from practicing, because why would you want to practice if you can never stick with anything? There's no motivation in that. And that's why you need to work on your brain and your thinking. So this is absolutely critical in terms of making long-term changes to your diet and to your lifestyle, or whatever it is that you want to change in your life. If this is something that you struggle with, and you know, like, oh my god, I'm stuck, that's so me, I don't know how to do this, start thinking about this. And if you feel like you need more help with that, just send me an email at pim@smartdiabeticsacademy.com, and we can just have a chat about what it is that you need and how I could potentially help you, and we can take it from there. Perhaps I can send you some resources, maybe you want some coaching, whatever it is that you need, I'm here to help on whatever level you need me to. And I also have a Facebook group that I can redirect you to. So that's all I wanted to say today, and I hope you have liked this video. And if you have, and if you didn't press the thumbs up before the video started, then please do so now, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!